We're going to run the country until such time.
Let me start this story with a simple question. When you read the headline, America has attacked Venezuela.
After months of build-up, after months of isolated airstrikes, the US president has toppled Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro.
Did you feel shocked? Or you did quietly think, yeah, that's absolutely right?
The US military captured Maduro and his wife today. They were picked up from Caracas, which is the capital of Venezuela.
That reaction is exactly where this story begins. Because war should never feel normal. But somehow, this one did. We have reached a point where when America moves, we assume there must be a reason. Drugs, democracy, human life. Pick any explanation. But Venezuela was never important because of politics. Venezuela was important because of geography. And what lies under it? Oil.
Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world.
More oil than Saudi Arabia. More than Russia, the largest proven oil reserve on earth.
The country holds about 17% of the entire global oil supply.
And it sits right next to United States. History has a very simple rule. When enormous wealth leaves next door to enormous power, conflict is not a surprise. It's a matter of time. And yes, before we go deeper in the story, one quick thing. If this already feels different from usual news noise, hit the like button. It tells YouTube this story matters. And if you want more stories like this, where we break down power, politics and pattern, then subscribe to this channel. Now, let's continue because this is where it gets serious. Now let's slow this down. Venezuela didn't collapse overnight. It collapsed gradually. At the center of this slow breakdown was one man, Nicolas Maduro. Under his leadership, the economy started cracking. Inflation didn't rise, it exploded. Money lost value so fast that saving became pointless. People worked all month and still couldn't afford basic food. Slowly, people stopped thinking about ideology. They stopped caring about politics. They cared about survival. More than 8 million Venezuelans left the country. 1/4 of the population walked away. Those who stayed behind were not angry anymore. They were tired. While Venezuela was breaking from the inside, pressure was building from outside. Sanctions tightened, trade shrank, money stopped flowing. Life didn't collapse loudly. It becomes quietly unbearable. And this matters because slow suffering doesn't look like violence, it looks like failure. And once a country is labeled a failure, the world stops protecting it. And that's when the story changes. A weak country with massive resource is no longer seen as tragedy, it's seen as an opportunity. So when American forces finally moved, it didn't feel sudden, it felt inevitable. That's why many people didn't resist. Some even celebrated. Not because they loved foreign soldiers, but because they hated their present life more. That's not geopolitics, that's human psychology. Now comes the uncomfortable part. This was never just about Venezuela. Over the years, Venezuela had become crowded. China had invested heavily, Russia had influence, Iran had relationships, too many players inside one weak country. And global power doesn't share space politely. It clears it. Oil was the prize, yes, but control was the goal. Control over energy, control over prices, control over influence in the region. This is why this story matters far beyond Venezuela. Because oil doesn't stay local and instability doesn't stay contained. Countries like India don't just import oil, they import stability. When control over major resources shift, everyone feels the impact, right? Venezuela teaches a brutal lesson. Internal problems don't stay internal. When a country owns something valuable. Maduro failed his people, that much is true. But what followed wasn't salvation, it was takeover. The people are still waiting. The oil is already moving. And that's why this story should bother you. Because today it was Venezuela, tomorrow it will be someone else. Someone who looks weak and owns something powerful. If this story made you pause or look at the global events a little differently, then press like. It helps this kind of content reach people who need it. And if you want more stories like this, stories that don't just react to headlines but explains what's really happening behind them, subscribe to the channel. Because these patterns don't stop. We just stop paying attention. Thank you and Jai Hind.